Listen close. We rise up from the ashes, digging for the truth, breaking old habits. We marching with the nesters, they laid the foundation, passed down revelation, sparked our motivation. In a world of facades, we peeling back the layers. Truth is the weapon that cuts through all the fakers. Phonets in our chest, reborn from deception. Eyes wide open, no room for misdirection. Every step we take, we honor the connection between past and present, forging our resurrection. Phoenix rises in truth, setting us free from the lies that they feed. We reclaim our beliefs, thinking differently. We'll break every chain. We dance for freedom, case by case, again. We cultivate vision, planting seeds of awareness, challenge the narrative, break out of the harness, digging deep for knowledge, unearthing the hidden. Our minds are the soil where the future is written, no longer confined by the scripts they prescribe. We write our own story, let the real one subscribe. One voice becomes many, together we rally. Freedom's not a concept, it's a move and a tally. Case, we break the cage. Dog by dog, we shift the stage. Phoenix rises in truth, setting us free from the lies that they feed. We reclaim our beliefs, thinking differently. We'll break every chain. We dance for freedom, case by case, again. Rise up, speak out, watch the new world breathe.
Good morning. Just testing the audio and making sure that we are loud and clear. Good morning, everyone. This is a special live this morning, November 19th, 2025. And I just have to give you a quick disclaimer. I normally don't go live at this time, but I was looking through a case and someone had mentioned something in regards to Brian Kohberger. And I went to the repository, and in fact, there is an update in regards to the 5-year-old, aka monkey, Michael Vaughn in Idaho, 5-year-old who disappeared from his father's site. And I do have an update. Finally, we are getting some releasing court documents that have hit the repository. And this case, I will give you a quick warning. It involves a child, and let's just watch the video.
An update in the case of the disappearance of Michael Vaughn, with suspect Stacy Wandra now in Payette County Jail custody. We requested the probable cause affidavit, laying out some of the disturbing details that police say motivated their arrest. I'm your neighborhood reporter, Brady Caskey, breaking down some of the key details in those documents. In startling new details, the PCA says Stacy Wandra asked police for a, quote, deal, and then admitted to them that Michael was at his house the night the young boy went missing. According to those documents, Stacy told Fruitland police that his wife, Sarah, duct taped Michael's mouth and put him in a duffel bag with the help of Adrian Lucien. a man who was previously named as a suspect in Michael's disappearance. In that same interview, police say Stacy admitted the group intended to take a child and sell them for money. According to Stacy, the plan to sell a child was Lucian's idea, and they'd each get a $10,000 cut. Police say Stacy vomited as he told them the details. Stacy also admitted the group drove Michael to Kuhn. Fourth suspect, Brandon Shirtliff, lived. Police say that according to Stacy, Shirtliff brought the duffel bag inside the Kuhn home and hid Michael in a spare room. After that interview, police say Stacy called his mother. When she asked about Michael, Stacy responded, quote, "Sarah accidentally killed him," going on to say that he suffocated in the duffel bag. Police say he then wrote an apology letter to Michael's parents. All 4 people were named as suspects in Michael Vaughn's disappearance in 2022. Police say Shirtliff and Lucian lived at the home at the time Michael went missing. Meanwhile, Sarah Wandra was charged with failure to report a death in 2022. But when an extensive search turned up no evidence, she was later released. And while Sarah Wandra has not been charged by police, she is mentioned extensively in the probable cause affidavit. Authorities note that her social media posts dramatically increased once Michael went missing. After posting just 11 videos in 3 years of having TikTok, police say Wandra then posted more than 300 videos in just 3 months with heavily religious tone and asking for forgiveness for her sins. This video shows Wandra talking with Michael Vaughn's missing poster on the refrigerator behind her. And in another video, Sarah says she's broken all 10 commandments.
I pretty much broke every 10 commandment besides physical murder. You know, but Jesus said in Matthew, if you hate your brother or you hate someone in your heart, you've murdered them. So, I mean, technically by what Jesus said, yeah, I guess I've committed all of them.
Though the PCA lists 4 suspects, as of Monday, only Stacy Wandra has been charged in the case. Sarah Wandra is currently in IDOC custody on unrelated charges. Brandon Shirtliff is listed as an inmate in the Canyon County Jail, though police haven't said it's related to the Vaughn case. Lucian has also not been charged. Reporting in studio, I'm Brady Caskey for Idaho News 6.
So, there you have it. It is quite shocking that they would have done this to any child, not just this child, but the documents have been released. A lot of information has been in the repository. The probable cause is here. It is listed. It is very disturbing. And yet the TikTok for Stacy and Wandra had been changed. It looks like this is the TikTok that it's been changed. And, you know, there's a lot of other disturbing things about this. But here is the factual criminal complaint. And you're going to be hearing a lot about this case because of the players involved. Now, Stacy James Wandra has been charged with all 4 counts. And he was actually in prison in Phoenix, Arizona. And he had just been sent back and extradited to Idaho. So this has become big news only because of this individual being arrested. But the probable cause is available. You know, even if this was an accident, in my humble opinion, I believe in my heart that they should all be charged. So for them to not actually have a body and have admissions like you just saw on TikTok, could that possibly be circumstantial? Yes. But then having someone else confess to this, do you think that they should be charged? I mean, honestly, it is a very sad case. Do you think all 4 of these individuals should be charged? They extradited this guy back to Idaho. He had a charge against him. And mind you, he's been filling out the paperwork on his own. He asked for the courts to dismiss all the charges in the indictment for the following reasons. The plaintiff has failed to provide any documentation or evidence to support this. A detainer to hold me pending extradition to Idaho. 2, the defendant has been neglected hours rights to arraignment hearing within the 72-hour time frame from the Idaho state, violated my rights to due process, obviously, if you read the documents, by releasing a statement I made to Payette County detectives to the public media, also violating my 8th Amendment, causing me to be in constant fear of my life and being in danger. And that was all done by him himself. In another document, he did an extradition of waiver. He says, Stacy James Wanderer, for myself, I do voluntarily state that I am the person in which the criminal charges have been existing. And basically, they have committed him with a felony, yada, 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 and the magistrate has signed off on it. There is a host of documents that were released, and you can see that all the way up until just yesterday when it was announced that they did, in fact, arrest him. I mean, some of these things are available. The court minutes won't load. They're not available. There's other things happening behind the scenes that are being hidden. And probably this is where he was subpoenaed in Texas, and they demanded that he appear in Idaho, and they extradited him back to Idaho. He was being held in Phoenix, like I said. And so, I mean, this has been ongoing behind the scenes, not given to the public, and probably that they were searching and looking for the body of 5-year-old Michael Vaughn of Fruitland, Idaho. So I just wanted to come and share this story with you. It is not only sad, but it's another case, in my humble opinion, as of right now, after going through all these documents. There are a few that just have me baffled because, I mean, there was no due process. They got him right out of Phoenix to go ahead and extradite him to Idaho. And then Idaho's documents themselves, if you begin to look at this case in these documents, this guy has felonies in other states, not just within what he's being charged with. He was charged in Idaho with a felony of issuing a check with insufficient funds, and then another felony in regards to Montana, where he was convicted of a felony of false statement during a firearms transaction in federal court in the state of Montana. So, I know a lot of people were commenting on my video that I did on TikTok. This guy looks like a pedo, this guy, this and that. And, obviously these 4 were looking for some type of payday. And it's very unfortunate that they went to this extreme. I mean, I'm shocked. So shocked. I mean, I almost threw up in my mouth when he confessed. I mean, he basically said that what he said in the video. And, asking for some type of plea deal, like, we are going to give up the people who actually did this if you give me some type of plea deal. I mean, honestly, they all should rot in prison for the rest of their lives, if not given the death penalty. And we still don't know. I mean, if you look at the charges for Idaho, they don't ask that they're seeking the death penalty. And I hope that they would only not give somebody the benefit of the doubt, that they would let them all basically get away with this murder of a child. Now, there is still no body at this time that I'm aware of. And yeah, he asked for a plea deal, then he confessed. But who? I mean, if all 4 of them aren't going to say they all took part, and who put him in the bag, and who did this and that? Did somebody actually injure him? Did they, did they drug him? What did they do? And I would like to see their interrogations, obviously. But the detective is a woman, Juanita Keller, and she basically said in the probable cause affidavit she was obviously asking for first degree murder, kidnapping, second degree, and destruction or concealment of evidence since they have legally not found a body. And I remember this story. I mean, I live not too far away from Fruitland, and this community was so broken by this young child vanishing out of, the backyard. I mean, you hear about this all the time, guys. This stuff does happen. And the community they were just so distraught. They came together, um, shared information, missing. I'm just telling you, that whole area was affected. I mean, you can't trust a 5-year-old playing in the yard, not just by themselves. I mean, it's not the 80s anymore. It's not the 70s. I mean, look at Adam Walsh. He was taken from his bedroom, right? There were I could go on and on. There were so many other kids that were kidnapped from their own porches, rooms, bedrooms, front yards, backyards, enticed by, ice cream trucks, bakery trucks that they would sell pastries out of. But in this affidavit, it basically says that, the neighbors reported seeing him playing in the yard between 6:15 and 6:30, which is, who was out there with him? His dad. Um, at approximately 15 minutes later to 20 minutes later, he noticed his 5-year-old was missing from their home. So they were outside and he was told to return home by all the neighbors he contacted. They told him, go home, go home. You need to go home. And was he taken from the mall? I thought he was taken from his house. Man, see? I mean, it's like that Mandela effect. I swore Adam Walsh was taken from the house, and I could be wrong. I'm just saying that's what I remember. Or maybe I'm thinking about the girl who was poly class. She was taken from her bedroom. Maybe that's what I'm getting it mixed up with. But he was at his house. His neighbors told him to go back home. His dad said he was missing. And then the FBI got involved with the Fruitland Police Department. All the other agencies were contacted, and this is her writing this probable cause affidavit and saying that, neighbors saw him and they investigated, they searched surrounding. And I'm sure by then he was already 3 hours away, 2 hours away from another location. They found a pair of shoes and they started getting the canines out with his shoes. And it's just sad. By the next couple of days, they did a big flyer tricycle. Just things that a community would get together and do for any missing child. And it breaks my heart to know that this child wasn't even going to be found in the area. Other adults knew, and I'm sure that they saw this all over the news and how heartbroken, this community was. I mean, if you think about it, what would you do in your community if a child was missing? And I agree, Brenda. I agree. As a parent, they should have protected that child. Why leave a 5-year-old, no matter how mature they may be, why leave a 5-year-old outside to run the road, essentially, and something like this to happen? Now, obviously, somebody must have known him. Maybe they were friends. I don't know. I still don't understand why somebody would take a child that's not their own. But yet, I digress. I've had my child at this age parentally kidnapped, and that's what's so hard. His sisters were so broken. I was so broken, and thank God my son was found in another state with his dad at the time. It was a parental kidnapping. That's what they claimed it to be. And within 33 days, he was flown back, sent back. Well, his dad was meant to go to court by subpoena and present our child, in which I got custody 33 days later, and he was not allowed to be in his presence. So, I mean, I will tell you, it is heartbreaking when you realize your child is in fact missing. And I actually had another event like this that just really gets to me. Is we were in, and I don't know if you remember the time of Kmart days, they had those round circular clothes things. And we were in Kmart. No, we were in Walmart, and those round circular clothes things that they basically have gotten rid of over the years. He was hiding in one of those at the time, and I freaked out. And all of a sudden, you hear code Adam, code Adam. And that's when I learned about Adam Walsh. And so, I mean, this was like in 2012 at least. And it's just heartbreaking. So they never saw any surveillance footage. There was no cameras around. And I mean, this was back in 2021 when Ring cameras already been invented. Ring cameras, a Night Owl. There's so many security companies, ADT. There's so many video surveillance companies that are out there. And a child can't just basically disappear into poof, thin air. There has to be some trace, some evidence. And I agree. My 3-year-old daughter took off from me at Walmart. Thank God people help. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a community can come together to solve any crime. And, I wish, Caleb, you were right. I wish Moscow came together to solve that crime, knowing that those 4 beautiful souls were taken. And people know, they absolutely know, just like some people here knew where this little child went, besides the perpetrators, right? I'm sure someone knew. Yeah, they hide in those clothes racks. Yeah, she had a cast on her arm. And regardless, I mean, this is a big, huge problem. Now, you heard his own admission is that he was going to sell this child, and these individuals were going to make $10,000. That is trafficking at its finest. I mean, just think about this for a second. Just think. A child goes missing, and the first thing our minds go to is child trafficking. I lived in Houston, guys, where it's the biggest hub for trafficking. And when my son disappeared, I freaked out. I freaked out. And I never let my children ever have sleepovers. They were always the odd ones out that couldn't go and hang out. Even when they were 13, 14, I would not let them go in anyone else's house. I taught my kids at a young age that no one is supposed to touch you, where your bathing suit doesn't show, and no one is to take you. And we had a code word. If they were ever taken from me, well, in my presence, we had a code word. And that code word was golden, right? That's not the code word, but it was like, that was our secret sauce to where I could help them if they were in any danger, absolutely stranger danger. And I teach this to my grandkids too. It's not like, this is just something that you teach. No, this is something that you need to teach your adult children to teach your grandchildren. I mean, they might not even have this on their mind. So in this PCA, this police officer said Stacy Wandra is captured on surveillance footage driving a white Lexus and pulling into the parking area of the splash pad in the neighborhood of Southwest 8th Street at 3:22 hours. He's seen exiting the driver's door, walking around to the passenger side door, and appears to be testing the exterior door handle to see if it's locked. Stacy then walked back around to the driver's side of the vehicle, where he got into the driver's seat and exited about 1 minute after arriving. Then the video surveillance shows a male adult walking off into the area at 6:08, and the same male is captured walking in the area of the neighborhood of the splash pad. The last image of the male is captured at 6:28. He walked through a wooded area to the back west areas where the Wandras lived. Brandon Shurtleff is identified in 2022 as the person and told detectives in an interview that the surveillance video captured him as he was walking by searching for a missing child the date that M disappeared. This video captured Brandon walking prior to M, Michael Vaughn, being reported missing. And Brandon reported that he was living with the Wandras on that date. So obviously this is someone who lived with them. And then they contacted the residents at yada, 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 redacted, and they located someone hiding in the closet. So, I mean, Brandon and Shurtleff and Adrian Lacine, all four were interviewed. So they have an adult hiding in their closet. Adrian was vague in his statements and couldn't commit to solid statement. Also refused to provide his social security number for identification confirmation. He provided Stacy's phone number as his own and concealed his own real number from law enforcement. And this is what I'll say. If you're ever questioned, some attorneys, and this is not legal advice, obviously this guy was arrested. Eventually they found out who he was. They're going to find out. They're definitely going to find out. But if they have to force it out of you, they're probably going to make more charges on you guys. Honestly. So then it goes on to say that Stacy slept until noon and that the cell phone towers showed all of them in the area at the time of M's disappearance. They returned to Fruitland, verified by surveillance. Now, this is what real, and I'm getting really spicy right now. This is what freaking real cell phone data shows. There's no kludgy information in this continuous data that is being shared in this PCA, folks. Okay? This is the difference between Kohberger, like I said at the beginning of this stream, and this Wandra case. And I'm getting hot and spicy. This is what real surveillance, this is what real data looks like. There's no holes. This isn't a bullshit PCA, in my humble opinion. And this should show you that they never had anything on Kohberger. This should show you 100% that the freaking real perpetrators got away with these 4 beautiful souls that they took off the face of this planet. And I'm pissed off today. 100%. This is what cell phone tower data shows. All 4 of them were in the area and the footage. Okay? This is the freaking cell phone tower data footage. This is what the real shit looks like. Not some thrown together, fly-by-night paper that you could use, like Sammy T. Mafia says, for wiping your butt. Surveillance and data showed their cars themselves time-stamped exactly right here in black and freaking white. When this little boy disappeared, they were all in this area. They could line it up. Now I'll get off my rant for a minute. Then they showed surveillance footage shows Sarah driving the maroon GMC pickup. She drove out of the neighborhood at 7:08. She'd been identified as the front passenger, and Brandon was the driver's side rear passenger on footage in the neighborhood. They were co-located. The phone data showed they were co-located and they drove to Cuna. They knew that they had gone there. They knew. If we would have known, they would have seen this in the Koberger case. If they had factual evidence. But I guarantee you, if they went and they got the real perpetrator's evidence, we would see co-location. We would see surveillance footage. In my humble opinion, all speculative, alleged. So then they says that they showed that they were towing a Mercedes-Benz behind the GMC pickup. Adrian's phone did not provide any location during the evening. However, he took a photo in the guest bedroom at the Wondrous residence. Again, this is real evidence. Factual, real evidence that they are factually guilty. Factually guilty of this crime. Factually guilty. They were all together. And one person of that 4 perpetrators, they admitted what they did. Can I get a plea deal? Please don't send me up the river. I'll rat out my friends. Anyways, Stacy had been identified, yada, yada, yada. They drove there. He took a picture at his selfie. He probably turned his phone off. I'm just saying, allegedly. Wandra's maroon GMC pickup was captured on surveillance, returning to Fruitland neighborhood. This is real police work. This is a real freaking PCA, guys. Pulling and towing a Mercedes-Benz. Following Michael's disappearance, Sarah had distinct change in behavior. Following M's disappearance, Sarah began to stand along the highway near Love's gas station in Ontario, Oregon, which is very close to Fruitland, by the way, and with signs stating, "Repent of your sins," and that the end of the time was near. This sure freaking sounds like something Lori Vallow would say, folks. I mean, what are your thoughts about this? This is just wild. Were they on some type of stuff? I mean, in my humble opinion, were they on something? Why would they try to sell a 5-year-old child? They hooked up with the wrong people. Maybe they owed them money. Maybe, who knows? They came up with a plan that they were going to get money. Sarah's social media on TikTok and Facebook also changed drastically due to religion and asking for forgiveness for her sins prior to Michael's abduction. Sarah had posted only approximately 11 videos on TikTok over 3 years talking about the abduction. Following M's abduction, she posted 329 videos from September to December, made testimony statements regarding her involvement in criminal behaviors, and stated she had broken all 10 of the 10 commandments. It should have been noted, "Thou shalt not kill" is one of the 10 commandments. Sarah also alleged in her videos that it did not matter what sin she committed because God had forgiven her for all of them. Michael's missing person flyer had been seen on a refrigerator in the background in some of her videos. That is true. Sarah was interviewed again by law enforcement 2021, was also interviewed after being confronted with a photo of her leaving the neighborhood, driving the GMC pickup. She changed her story and said she was driving the GMC to get Brandon's Mercedes-Benz from Cuna to tow it back to Fruitland. She said that the trip to Cuna had to get the car, but had not been previously planned. She was the one that wanted to get the car at the time and date. Sarah had stopped out of the neighborhood and put the address into GPS. She drove to North Snowball in Cuna, which is Brandon's mother's home. It's worth noting Brandon was in the truck with them when they entered the GPS coordinates to go to Brandon's mother's house, and Sarah and Brandon's cell phone showed them at the residence earlier that day. Sarah, that is real evidence again. That is real evidence, folks. Sarah and Brandon's mother, Tina Morale, were out of town. Sarah said Tina did not allow Brandon to have people in her home when she was not there. So Sarah and Stacy parked down the road, and Brandon used the back gate on the south side to enter Tina's residence so that her doorbell camera did not capture him there. So they were hiding. They took the kid and they were hiding. Then they said they reported while towing the car back to Fruitland, the tow strap broke. Wow. And then they sold their phones. They sold their phones. Lost or sold their vehicles and got rid of their furniture shortly after Michael went missing. That's the strange behavior that they're looking for in the Idaho 4 case, folks. They are looking for people who got out of Dodge, didn't graduate, went to other schools, sold cars, went to hospitals, yada, yada, yada. That is what they are looking for, in my humble opinion. Anyone with changing behaviors. Sarah was asked about changing her phones following Michael's abduction. She provided 2 reasons. Sarah said that she was asking about changing her phones. They said that they sold their phones because she and Stacy were splitting up. And Sarah said that they sold their phones because a demon told her to. Yeah, Sarah was still playing on phones. She was paying on the phones that were sold. Sarah asked about her Facebook post and provided the following responses. I literally had a demon tell me that I needed to leave my husband. Okay. I deleted all of my pictures. I have no idea what my passwords are. We had a fight. My husband and I had to sell our phones. We got new phones. I couldn't access my stuff. So I do have Facebook, just don't have access right now. Then asked about vehicles. And basically she said that it was repossessed. Sarah said she told Stacy when they heard the repo guys were coming to take the truck, we're going to be the nicest repo people they ever had today. Law enforcement was told the truck had to be thoroughly cleaned prior to the repo. Oh my gosh. Following the interview on the 15th of 2021, Brandon reported Sarah and Stacy contacting him and told him that they were re-interviewed by M's abduction. Brandon and Stacy suggested Brandon come over to their place and create an alibi or write a letter on behalf of Stacy and Sarah and Stacy, saying they were not involved with M's abduction. Oh my God. Oh, I just can't with mothers like this. I'm sorry. I just can't. This is what makes me vomit. Tina Morale, Brandon's shirtless mother, was interviewed by law enforcement. Tina reported that Brandon's behavior changed after he lived with the Wanderers. And this is what they evidence. Tina explained that Brandon became more depressed and withdrawn, spending more time playing video games and smoking marijuana. There it is. Tina would not tell law enforcement where Brandon went or his phone number was at the time. Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother, was interviewed and shown a picture of the tricycle described above. She claims that the tricycle is in some bushes prior to M's abduction. The bushes that Kay described where near Mount Summit found the tricycle. Mr. Summit found the tricycle. What is that? Mr. Smith. Sorry. I should get my glasses. I need my computer glasses. And the tricycle just after Michael's abduction. Kay said it would be the reason her DNA would be on the tricycle. Yeah, right. Kay said that after all the effort, she left the interstate of Three Rivers and 8th Street. Kay was 73 years old in the July, and the bushes were very difficult to get to. Kay Ramsey also confirmed to law enforcement that Sarah and Stacy's dog had dug holes in the backyard of the Red Wing fence. Kay reported the dog had dug up later what determined to be the ear of a green stuffed animal. Kay said she'd thrown away the stuffed ear. Ramsey is alleged to have information or withheld information Oh my gosh, I can't. I just can't. Kay Ramsey is alleged to have withheld information or evidence in the criminal investigations involving Sarah in 2022. Then Kay initially concealed a firearm used in aggravated assault, which convicted Sarah in another case. When law enforcement met with Sarah in October of 2022, Sarah said God told her that she was going to help her find her boy. During the interview, the first mention of Michael, Sarah became emotional and broke down crying in front of the detective. Sarah wrote a testimony and said that if law enforcement read it, they would locate Michael, suggested God had forgiven Hitler for his sins, that God had redeemed Sarah for hers. All right. I don't know how many more pages I could take of this. I'm telling you, people, we live in a spiritual battle. We live in a spiritual warfare time right now. Christy Kutch told detectives prior to Sarah's arrest in April of 2022, she made a statement about Stacy involved the abduction of a 5-year-old boy. Christy said she made personal notes of their conversation in June of 22. There were recorded jail phone call between Sarah and Christy where Sarah advised Stacy had been arrested. Christy asked if he had been charged with the kidnapping of a 5-year-old boy. Sarah recanted her prior statements, claiming that Christy misunderstood her prior comments. Also mentioned how Sarah's dog was digging large holes in the backyard. Wow. On Amanda, I used to be a smoker of the devil's lettuce, and let me tell you, the only thing I killed was tacos. All right. Had to throw in some humor. This is just, oh wow. So after Stacy's arrest, in an unrelated incident, Stacy spoke of changing phones for SIMS cards to prevent law enforcement from following or profiling him. On November 11, 2022, he started speaking with Fruitland detectives. Stacy wanted a deal. The same offer that was given to Sarah in the MV case. Stacy admitted M had been in his house the night of Michael's abduction. Well, what the hell was he doing in this guy's house? Stacy admitted the tricycle had been in his garage where Kim Elko had previously described seeing it. Stacy said that when he first saw M, Sarah was carrying M into their home. Stacy said M was put into a duffel bag to transport him out of their house to Brandon's house to Kuna. Stacy said Sarah was frantic trying to figure out what to do, and Brandon interjected, "I have a duffel bag." Stacy described Michael as crying and to prevent him from moving or making noise. "I have to give you a warning. This does involve a child. This video is not for any children out there. It will not be available for a child." And this is exactly what the PCA from law enforcement does say, in fact. And Stacy and Sarah were frantic trying to figure out, "I have a duffel bag," crying to prevent him from moving and making noise. Stacy described how Sarah taped M using duct tape. Now remember, Stacy is the guy, Sarah is the girl. When asked who put him in the bag, Stacy said, "Brandon grabbed the bag and I gave it to Sarah." Sarah picked Michael up as Adrian helped hold the sides of the bag open as they shoved M in the duffel bag. Stacy described M as wiggling, trying to get away. Stacy said he could see M in the bag with his knees bent up in the fetal position. While describing and demonstrating how M was taped and stuffed into the duffel bag in his living room, Stacy had a physical reaction and began violently vomiting. When he asked if he was vomiting because of the chewing tobacco he was using, he indicated that he was throwing up because of the stress of talking about M. Stacy provided 2 reasons that they stopped in the GMC at the corner of Fruitland. He said to put power steering fluid in the vehicle, and 2, so that Brandon can check to see if M was still alive M was bound in duct tape and stuffed in a duffel bag in the bed of the truck. Stacy said he was able to hear M making noises and like a dull scream. Stacy said they were worried about being seen. They saw a car parked off of South Arizona. That was a street. Stacy said they drove straight to Brandon's mother's house, and Brandon grabbed both bags and the duffel bag containing M and the backpack. And he went into the house by himself. Stacy said that once they arrived, it was not making any more noises in the bag, and none of them had checked M to verify if he was still alive. Stacy said Brandon told him he left M in the bag and put him in the spare room inside his mother's house. Now, honestly, to me, in my humble opinion, this is the story that all four of them made up. In my humble opinion, I am speculating. This is all alleged. This is my humble opinion. I think, and God forgive me if I'm wrong, I think that something else took place and they had to get rid of this body away from where they were. In my humble opinion. That's where my mind goes, because I'm asking the questions that most people won't ask. And that is the unthinkable. Because why would somebody be in such a hurry to get this body out of that area? I mean, honestly, did they give up the people they were going to sell this little boy to? Did they? Is there a connection? Will we hear this in this trial that's going to be happening? I mean, the court hearing has been set for December 16th. Stacy said they drove to Brandon's mother's house, yada, yada, yada. Then they towed Brandon's car back to Fruitland. Stacy said that Sarah, Brandon, and Aiden went to Cuna the next day to get M. They left a little 5-year-old boy in a spare bedroom with no one in the house. They went to Cuna the next day to get M. The three of them brought M's body back to their house in Fruitland. He stated that he was off guard, and Sarah and Adrian dug the hole together. Stacy reported he did not previously report this information because he thought he would still get into trouble, and because he was fearful of Sarah hurting him. In an interview, Stacy stated that M had a stuffed animal. It was kind of like a dinosaur or monkey. And what I saw was a monkey. It was green and it looked like a green monkey. In an interview, he told them. Well, isn't that what they dug up? A green ear in that lady's backyard with still no body? I mean, where is this body, folks? Either A, they unalived him. They took his body and took it somewhere else, and they're all lying. Or B, they sold this little boy, and there is no proof of him being alive because they sold him, and he's out there, trafficked, no body. They buried a stuffed animal, obviously, in my humble opinion. And they stated that they wanted to sell him, that they would get a $10,000 cut. Stacy was asked if Sarah provided any direction through any part of this. Stacy said that Sarah asked him and Brandon to follow her lead, which was take the kid. Stacy recalled that the most of the conversation at that point was Sarah trying to figure out what they were going to do. Sarah asked Brandon, where should we put the body? And Brandon was like, well, you guys can take him. You can take over to my house and we'll deal with it and we'll buy us some time. Following this interview in law enforcement, Stacy told his mother, Tamara Johnson, from the Washington County Jail on video visit. Tamara asked Stacy if M was alive. Stacy shook his head and said no. Sarah accidentally killed him. Tamara asked how. Stacy said suffocation and went on to say they buried him in a duffel bag. Well, don't you think they would have found his body? The dogs? They buried the stuffed animal, and that's what they found, probably because it has his scent on it. After the interview and phone call to his mother, Stacy wrote an apology letter to M's parents and then attempted to hang himself in the jail cell, but he was recused by Washington. He was rescued, by Washington County jail staff. It should be noted that during some part of Stacy's incarceration in Washington County Jail, prior to his confession and directions on where M's body was, Sarah was out of custody and living back at the house on Red Wing Street, as evidenced by her being there when law enforcement arrived to execute the search warrant. Sarah could have had the time and ability to move more evidence from the property without Stacy's knowledge. In June of 22, Sarah called Kay from jail, spoke about spouses being able to testify against each other in a recorded phone call. You know, this is the weird thing about Idaho and their laws. Excuse me. I should have grabbed some water. This is the crazy thing. In Idaho, you know, a lot of people, not just in Idaho, but a lot of people think that if you're married, you don't have to testify against your spouse. That's not true. That is not true. In Idaho, you can be forced to testify against your spouse. No joke. So, look up the laws. It's wild. And especially in something like this. So Stacy expressed concern that Sarah was going to turn on Stacy. Sarah confirmed that Stacy was referring to Michael Vaughn. Sarah told Stacy that she had already told her attorney that she wasn't going to turn on Stacy and that she wasn't going to testify against him, then reassured Sarah had never testified against her. As a search warrant was executed on redacted, I don't know what it is, on November 12th, 2022, Stacy described the exact location as to where M buried in the backyard, and he instructed detectives to go through video chat. Sarah, who was located at the residence at the time, was detained. As officers read her the search warrant, Sarah made very strange comments. Wow, that is a lot. I definitely did not kill that boy. The Most High God already told me who did it so. Oh, wow. The Most High God, just told me that Stacy was the one who killed him and buried him in the yard of Carson's house. She then said the Most High God, Stacy, yada, 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 that he killed him and buried him. The Most High God just told me that Stacy was the one who did it. Oh, God, she just totally threw him under the bus. He wants me to make sure that you understand that I had nothing to do with it. He said that Stacy buried him in the backyard by the shed. It wasn't actually Stacy who harmed the boy, as officers stated to Stacy to search the residence. Sarah asked several times if the officers found him yet. What in the world is wrong with these parents? What is wrong? What in the world is going on? Idaho State Police and Ada County Sheriff's Office assisted with the execution of the search warrant at the Wanderer residence, along with 5 separate certified cadaver canines. Prior to officers digging in the backyard of the Wanderer residence, cadavers canines were deployed and alerted in the backyard of blank. A total of 5 certified cadaver canines were deployed at all 5 alerted inside the Wanderer backyard in the approximate area where Stacy claimed he witnessed Sarah and Aiden bury Michael. Neither Michael nor any human remains were located during the execution of this search warrant. Did they move him? Did they sell him? Prior to excavating the backyard, as we just saw in the video, law enforcement noted there were several areas in the yard that appeared that had been filled in with dirt and resodded. Kay and Ed Ramsey reported they had filled in areas of the yard where Sarah and Stacy's dog had dug holes. At various interviews after the disappearance of Michael Vaughn, Stacy was asked what happened to his and Sarah's cell phones. He said he wanted to detract attention so we were not on a radar. And that was the reason they sold their phones. When asked if there was evidence of the crime on these photos, Stacy said there were text messages. Investigation revealed that the Wanderers changed their phones approximately 3 times in a 5-month period. Stacy, the guy, described purchasing SIM cards and put in his cell phone to evade law enforcement. The GMC pickup was subsequently repossessed for non-payment. Stacy then called Kim Cars, wanting the truck back or to borrow it. He also told them to hurry up and sell it. Stacy further advised that they sold the Lexus they had at the time that Michael Vaughn was abducted. Within a few weeks of Michael's disappearance, the Wanderers' iCloud data revealed that Stacy and Sarah searched for rental houses in other states, financial assistance in different areas. Additionally, a photo of boxed items was taken on July 30th, 2021, as if they were preparing to move. In summation, this officer, Juanita, is it Kelleher? In summation, Stacy confessed that all 4 members of the household were all involved in the abduction and killing of M. Vaughn. Their home is in the neighborhood adjacent to where M lived and last seen. The neighbor, Dorothy Starkey, saw Michael riding his tricycle near the home at the time Michael went missing. The same tricycle that was seen on Wanderer's garage prior to the abduction, that tricycle was discarded outside of the neighborhood off of the bluff after Michael went missing. Kay Ramsey, Sarah Wanderer's mother, claimed to have found it and moved it to the entrance of the neighborhood, which is refuted by the fact that another neighbor, unrelated to the case, claimed to have found it and placed it there. Kay's story does not account for the fact that the tricycle was in the house before being discarded and before M went missing. Live scent track dogs were deployed, and the only house they showed interest was the Wanderer house. The same dog showed interest in where Michael went missing from in the area where the tricycle was discarded. Based on the foregoing, your applicant is requesting that Stacy Wanderer be charged with kidnapping and murder in the first degree, as well as concealment of evidence. So why did they stop looking for this 5-year-old? Why? Why have they not put his picture up for possible trafficking? Why? Did they check where Wanderer had their shop? I don't know. It is not in this affidavit, and all the information is being loaded as I spoke about. After they arrested him, they released all this in the repository. The criminal complaint, probable cause, motion to disqualify judge was filed, motion to disqualify the cause. I'm sure that they'll get to that. There was so much denied in this case. It is wild already. Writ of habeas corpus was already given. They extradited. this case is probably going to be one of the wildest ones because they've already asked for approval for video to be televised in this case. So they want to be televised. They want the general audio tape of the proceedings. So the news has already asked for this. And there's other things that have been asked: notification of rights, criminal hearings, motion for a public defender, court minutes, waiver extradition, because this guy was in a Phoenix prison. So why in the heck am I the only one that's going to question that maybe this child was sold? Was there any evidence of a cash, sale? Any evidence that they had money on them or bank accounts? Or, I mean, honestly, right now they're being charged on circumstantial evidence other than a confession. Okay. Other than a confession. I mean, in my humble opinion, this young boy was probably trafficked. And I'm just saying that because I know that what these people have said could possibly not be the truth. They were hiding. They said they were going to sell him. It is very possible. It is very possible. Now, I'm waiting to see if a special prosecutor is given in this case, and if it comes from the Child Crimes Division, and if somebody else that has been referenced in other cases in Idaho will be a special prosecutor, because I'm sure that somebody will come in probably in the next few months and be given a special prosecutor. With 4 people, with one of them saying, yeah, we basically, all 4 of us murdered this little boy, but yet no evidence. And they find a stuffed animal of his allegedly buried, just an ear. Something is not right. So I say that we all, as a community here in our nest, with the dynamic caliber of people that we have here, we need to pray that his body needs to be found, whether alive or dead, as admitted by these 4 individuals. Well, one individual that has given up the 4. So I really strongly believe in advocating for those who can't advocate for themselves, as such as a 5-year-old missing boy. By now, he would be, if alive, allegedly, he would be, 8? He would be 8. And I hope and pray that the truth comes out in this case with no redaction, no sealed documents. I'm sure they're going to start sealing these documents. I grabbed as many as I could this morning, the meat and potatoes of this case, of this PCA. But obviously, what I showed you in this probable cause is exactly the surveillance that we should have been seeing in the Brian Koberger case, which you don't get. Cell tower data, surveillance footage, all over the place, co-locating. We should have got that. We should have got that information. So, thank you for joining my stream. This is not my normal content, but I do have a heart for kids, especially those who've been abducted, kidnapped, parental kidnapped. Just, it breaks my heart. And I'll leave you with this. There is nothing more on this planet that breaks my heart than seeing children harmed. It breaks my heart. And if you're not aware of this case, feel free to go over to, YouTube. There's a lot of great creators that have shared this case before. And I agree, Caleb, bring Michael home. Bring Michael home. Whether he has a proper burial, and if he is out there being trafficked, hopefully someone will recognize him. Keep his face center, please. In my humble opinion, this case should be, just all over the news. All over the news. Yes, Wicca Wicca, in a duffel bag. They have not been able to find him. They did an extensive excavation and they have not found him, but this guy has been arrested. So let's keep him in our thoughts and our prayers. And this pure evil, just horrible. It is awful. And I'll leave you with this one video.
Where Stacy Wander sits in a jail cell. He is back in Idaho, accused.
You're pure evil. You have no heart. You have no soul.
Brandy Neal, the mother of missing Fruitland boy Michael Vaughn, was in the courtroom Monday to face Stacy Wander. Wander is accused of murdering her then 5-year-old son in 2021. I asked Neal why she went to the courthouse on Monday.
So hopefully he could see my face. And I need to be at every one of the arraignments and the hearings. I need to know where my son is and what they did to him in the entirety.
Stacy Wander is also charged with second-degree kidnapping and destruction of evidence. His charges were filed just 2 weeks ago while he was still in an Arizona prison on unrelated charges.
Stacy Wander has been transported up from Arizona to Payette County. He just arrived here this morning.
In 2022, Stacy Wander and wife Sarah Wander were named as suspects in the case. Stacy was already in custody and Sarah was charged with failure to report a death. Police excavated the yard of their Fruitland home but found no evidence, and Sarah's charges were dropped in 2023. Would you think you'll ever get the answer as to why?
No, because there is no answer to why. Why would somebody hurt an innocent little boy? What answer could you give? What answer could you possibly give? How scared was he? Did he ask for me? Did he ask for Tyler? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know that, but I think I deserve that.
Neal feels Monkey's presence with her every day and says Michael's younger sister talks to him all the time. Neal says her daughter learned at a very young age about the bad guys.
I think her last comment on the bad guys is the police can catch them and then she can kick them in the face. And I was like, okay.
Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff told me he's limited in what he can say other than he is pleased to see this case progressing through the court system. Stacy Wander is being held in Payette County without bond. He is expected back in court for a status hearing on December 15th, followed by a preliminary hearing on December 16th. Idaho News 6 will be there. Reporting from outside the Payette County Courthouse and jail, I'm senior reporter Don Nelson, Idaho News 6.
Well, thank you, Don, in Idaho News 6. Keep in mind and keep them in your prayers as we exit today of this stream. Drop a lot of love for Michael Vaughn. I pray that either way he's found. Y'all be well. I'll be back at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time today, and I'll bring you some new information in regards to the Brian Koberger case. Be well.
Listen close, we rise up from the ashes, digging for the truth, breaking old habits. We We marching with the nesters, they laid the foundation, passed down revelation, sparked our motivation. In a world of facades, we peeling back the layers. Truth is the weapon that cuts through all the fakers. Phonets in our chest, reborn from deception. Eyes wide open, no room for misdirection. Every step we take, we honor the connection between past and present, forging our resurrection. Phoenix rises in truth, setting us free from the lies that they feed. We reclaim our beliefs, thinking differently, we'll break every chain. We dance for freedom, case by case, again. We cultivate vision, planting seeds of awareness, challenge the narrative, break out of the harness, digging deep for knowledge, unearthing the hidden. Our minds are the soil where the future is written, no longer confined by the scripts they prescribe. We write our own story, let the real ones subscribe. One voice becomes many, together we rally. Freedom's not a concept, it's a move and a tally.